The CEO shamed a single dad in front of the most powerful investors in the city, believing that one humiliating moment would erase years of sacrifice, but before the laughter in the ballroom could settle, the chairman quietly stood up, walked across the room, and offered the single father the most honored seat at the entire dinner. In that single moment, every confident smile froze, every whisper faded, and the truth that had remained hidden for years was finally about to change everyone's life forever. Before we begin this unforgettable story, if you believe kindness is stronger than pride, and that every person deserves a second chance, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Moments Hub so you never miss another inspiring story. Daniel Carter never imagined his life would become a daily battle between fatherhood and survival. 5 years earlier, he had been living what many would call an ordinary but happy life. He worked as a maintenance supervisor for a manufacturing company, his wife Emma taught music at a local elementary school, and together they were raising their energetic little daughter Lily, whose laughter seemed capable of filling every empty corner of their modest home. Everything changed one rainy evening when a tragic highway accident took Emma away forever. In a single night, Daniel lost the love of his life while Lily lost her mother before she was old enough to understand why her bedtime stories suddenly stopped. Grief became a permanent guest in their house, but Daniel refused to let it define their future. Every morning he woke before sunrise, prepared Lily's breakfast, braided her hair using YouTube tutorials because he had never learned before, packed her school bag, and then rushed to work where he accepted every overtime shift available. Every dollar mattered because medical bills, mortgage payments, school supplies, and ordinary groceries never paused simply because someone was mourning. His friends slowly drifted away as life carried them in different directions, but Daniel found purpose in the small victories, like hearing Lily laugh again or watching her bring home another drawing proudly labeled, "My Dad is My Hero." Years passed, and Daniel earned a reputation as the employee who could solve problems no one else wanted. Machines that others declared impossible to repair somehow came back to life under his patient hands. He never sought recognition because his greatest reward was seeing Lily asleep each night without worrying about whether the lights would stay on. Unknown to most people, Daniel had also spent countless evenings developing simple engineering improvements that reduced equipment failures inside the factory. He never patented them or demanded praise. He simply wanted the company to succeed because hundreds of families depended on those paychecks just as much as he did. When a large investment firm announced that it was considering purchasing a major stake in the company, excitement spread throughout every department. Executives prepared glamorous presentations while ordinary employees cleaned workshops and organized equipment for inspection tours. Daniel's supervisor unexpectedly informed him that he had been invited to attend the prestigious investor dinner because the chairman personally wanted technical staff represented alongside executives. Daniel was surprised. He owned only one old suit, carefully preserved since Emma's funeral. He spent an entire evening ironing it while Lily sat nearby helping polish his worn leather shoes. She smiled proudly and told him that her daddy would look like the smartest man in the room. Daniel smiled back, hiding the anxiety inside him. Fancy dinners were unfamiliar territory, but he accepted the invitation because he believed it represented respect for every hardworking employee. The ballroom shimmered beneath crystal chandeliers as business leaders, investors, and executives greeted one another with polished confidence. Luxury watches sparkled beneath tailored sleeves while expensive perfumes filled the air. Daniel quietly entered carrying nothing but quiet dignity and years of honest work. His suit fit slightly awkwardly after years of use, but it was perfectly clean. Some guests barely noticed him, while others assumed he was part of the hotel staff. Daniel politely smiled anyway, introducing himself only when necessary. He remembered Lily reminding him that confidence comes from kindness rather than expensive clothes. Among those attending was CEO Victor Reynolds, a brilliant businessman whose success had gradually transformed humility into arrogance. Victor believed appearances reflected value, and he judged people within seconds. When he noticed Daniel standing near the entrance holding his invitation, he frowned with visible irritation. Assuming a mistake had been made, Victor approached with several investors nearby. Without asking questions, he publicly questioned whether Daniel understood that this was an exclusive investor dinner rather than a maintenance meeting. Several guests chuckled uncomfortably. Victor continued speaking loudly enough for surrounding tables to hear, implying that someone dressed so modestly belonged in the service hallway rather than among executives and investors. Daniel felt every eye turning toward him. His face warmed with embarrassment, yet he refused to respond with anger. He simply showed his invitation again and quietly explained that he had been invited. Instead of apologizing, Victor dismissed him with a sarcastic smile and instructed event staff to find any available seat in the back. Daniel walked toward the distant table assigned to him, carrying a humiliation heavier than anything he had lifted inside the factory. Memories flooded his mind of every sacrifice he had made since Emma's passing. For a brief moment he questioned whether hard work truly mattered in a world that judged people by appearance before character. Still, he remained seated with quiet composure because he wanted Lily to grow up knowing that dignity survives even when respect is denied. What nobody realized was that Chairman William Harrington had witnessed the entire exchange from across the ballroom. Unlike many executives, William had built his career from factory floors rather than luxury offices. Decades earlier he had started as an apprentice mechanic before gradually earning every promotion through persistence and integrity. He recognized Daniel immediately because he had personally reviewed internal reports highlighting innovative maintenance improvements that had saved the company millions over several years. William also knew something the CEO had forgotten. A company's greatest assets were never marble headquarters or polished presentations. They were the people whose dedication kept everything running when no cameras were watching. As dinner preparations began, Chairman Harrington slowly stood up. Conversations faded as he crossed the ballroom with calm determination. Instead of walking toward the investors, he walked directly toward Daniel's isolated table. Without saying a word at first, he extended his hand warmly and invited Daniel to accompany him. Hundreds of eyes followed them across the room until they reached the chairman's own reserved table positioned at the very center of the ballroom. It was traditionally reserved for the company's highest-ranking leaders and most influential investors. William personally pulled out the chair beside his own and asked Daniel to take it. Shock spread throughout the room. The seat the CEO believed belonged only to elite executives had just been given to a quiet maintenance supervisor. Chairman Harrington finally addressed the audience. He explained that while polished speeches attracted investors, true excellence was built by individuals whose names rarely appeared in headlines. He described Daniel's countless innovations, his unwavering work ethic, and the millions of dollars his practical solutions had quietly saved the company. He revealed that several production facilities now used systems originally suggested by Daniel, increasing reliability while reducing operational costs dramatically. More importantly, William spoke about character. He explained that he had learned about Daniel's life as a single father raising Lily after losing his wife, never allowing personal tragedy to become an excuse for abandoning responsibility. William praised Daniel for demonstrating the kind of leadership money could never purchase. Silence filled the ballroom, but this time it was filled with respect instead of judgment. The investors listened with growing admiration. Many approached Daniel during dinner, asking thoughtful questions about manufacturing, leadership, and problem-solving. They discovered a thoughtful, intelligent man whose practical wisdom came from years of solving real challenges instead of discussing them inside conference rooms. Daniel answered every question honestly without exaggerating his accomplishments. His humility impressed the investors even more than his expertise. One senior investor later admitted that Daniel's perspective convinced him the company possessed an extraordinary culture worth supporting, provided it continued recognizing people based on merit rather than status. Meanwhile, CEO Victor Reynolds remained unusually quiet throughout the evening. Watching investors surround the very man he had mocked forced him to confront an uncomfortable truth about himself. His obsession with appearances had nearly embarrassed the entire company in front of potential partners. For the first time in years, Victor realized that leadership built upon pride eventually collapses beneath its own weight. Before the dinner concluded, he publicly apologized to Daniel, acknowledging that he had judged him unfairly without understanding his story or contributions. Daniel accepted the apology with calm grace, reminding everyone that respect grows stronger when people choose to learn from mistakes instead of defending them. The weeks following the investor dinner transformed the company. Chairman Harrington introduced new programs recognizing employees whose behind-the-scenes efforts created meaningful results. Engineers, technicians, janitors, assistants, and maintenance workers suddenly found their ideas welcomed rather than overlooked. Productivity improved because people finally believed their voices mattered. Investors praised the renewed culture, and the partnership moved forward successfully, creating new jobs and expanding operations. Daniel's own life gradually changed as well. He received a promotion leading innovation projects focused on improving efficiency across multiple facilities. The higher salary allowed him to spend more weekends with Lily instead of constantly accepting overtime shifts. Together they planted flowers in the small backyard Emma had always dreamed of transforming into a colorful garden. Lily proudly watched her father receive community recognition for leadership and integrity, but Daniel always reminded her that the greatest achievement was not earning awards. It was remaining kind even after experiencing cruelty. One evening Lily asked why her father had forgiven the CEO after being treated so unfairly. Daniel smiled gently before explaining that bitterness steals tomorrow while forgiveness allows people to keep building a better future. He wanted Lily to remember that strength is measured not by revenge but by character. Those words stayed with her throughout her life. Years later, employees still remembered the investor dinner when the chairman crossed an elegant ballroom to honor a man everyone else had overlooked. New hires often heard the story during orientation because it perfectly represented the company's values. They learned that greatness does not always arrive wearing expensive suits or carrying impressive titles. Sometimes greatness quietly repairs broken machines before sunrise, prepares school lunches with tired hands, and keeps moving forward despite unimaginable loss. As the company continued growing, Daniel never forgot where he came from. He mentored young employees, encouraged struggling parents, and quietly paid for professional training programs whenever someone lacked financial resources. His success became meaningful because he used it to lift others rather than separate himself from them. The same humility that once caused people to underestimate him became the reason so many trusted and admired him. If this story touched your heart and reminded you that true worth is measured by kindness, integrity, and perseverance rather than appearances, please support this video by liking it, sharing it with family and friends, subscribing to Moments Hub, and leaving a heartfelt comment. Your support helps more inspiring stories reach people who may need hope today. Special request: before this story ends, tell us in the comments, have you ever been judged unfairly, and how did you rise above it? Your story may inspire someone else who is silently fighting their own battle. The greatest victories in life rarely happen when crowds are cheering. They happen when a tired parent chooses responsibility over excuses, when humility defeats pride, and when one courageous person stands up to recognize the value hidden inside another human being. That unforgettable investor dinner was never remembered because of expensive food, powerful executives, or business contracts. It was remembered because one chairman reminded an entire room that every person deserves to be seen, every sacrifice deserves respect, and the best seat in the house should always belong to character.